Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. We're able to do some outside stuff today. Amazing. Stick around. Well, we've had quite a cold snap here within the last week or so. We got down to minus 35 without wind chill. That's very cold. But believe it or not, that was a couple days ago. And tomorrow we're expecting a high of 60. Can you believe that crazy temperature swing we got going on? Just insane. But all this snow will be gone within a couple days. And it's going to get pretty slushy out here. Already got the muck boots on. But we've had a catastrophe out here that we need to show you. Look what happened here. So I believe what happened when we got that minus 35 degrees, it made all of our greenhouse plastic very brittle. And with the snow and the wind, I think it just kind of shattered like glass because it was so cold. So this is going to have to be fixed fairly soon because in about a month or so, we're going to be starting plants in this greenhouse. And we can't very well do this or do that with what we got going on here. And I don't want everything inside my greenhouse getting wet. So first thing we need to do today, while we have our little warm weather and our snow melting here, we need to get all this shredded plastic off of the greenhouse. Now the two ends of the greenhouse survived just fine, and our south side over here survived as well. It's just the north side and the roof. And what we got going on here is we got one track of wiggle wire that goes all the way over that connects the side as well as the top. So without taking the ends loose right now, I'm just going to go along where the wiggle wire goes with a razor knife, and we will get that cut. All right, I've got all of the shredded plastic off of the greenhouse here. Now examining the plastic, this is 6 mil greenhouse plastic. And I was skeptical as to how long it would last here in Nebraska with our wind and our weather. And it's lasted 4 years now. And examining the plastic, the tensile strength is still there. So that only reinforces my belief that it was the extreme cold, the 35 below, that made this brittle. So what that tells me is, just like when we have the freeze, I have to put some heaters in here, like a propane heater, when we have the plants. Now also during the winter, when we get that really extreme below zero frigid cold weather, I should probably put a heater in here as well, or at least a little space heater just to keep the temperature a little bit below where it normally is. But that will probably keep this from happening again. And it's only a few days out of the year that we get that, so it won't be very, expensive to do that. Okay, our mess is cleaned up now. I took any electrical equipment out of there that I didn't want any moisture in. We're not expecting any moisture here in the next week. And looking on Amazon, I can get the new plastic within a couple days. So that's not going to be a huge deal. Now, the back side of this, the north side of the greenhouse, doesn't really need to be plastic. So what I think I'm going to do for the time being is I'll take this wiggle wire track off the bottom and move it up to this location up here. And then we'll do a solid wall here on the back. I'll get some concrete board, so because that won't rot. And we'll just make this solid wall in the back. What I would eventually want to do is any of the clear areas, I'd love to do some greenhouse panels, the double thick plastic panels, so I have more insulation, so it doesn't take so much to heat this little greenhouse. Because right now the 110 heaters that I'm using aren't quite enough to keep me below freezing, I have to put a propane heater in here whenever it's going to get too far below freezing. So I think with the double insulated panels eventually, and that was always the plan, this was kind of temporary to get us going, but the double insulated panels will serve us a lot better. Now another casualty of the cold weather was my little AirPod here. The plastic froze and just broke, snapped off like nothing, like a twig. But I've got a couple spare ones over there, so I can switch this out real quick because I'm going to need this in the next couple days. All right, good as new until it breaks again. When I eventually run it out of these hoses here, I'll just put a rubber hose on it so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, the next thing we need to do is, if you remember some videos ago, I told you that our garbage company abandoned us out here because we were their only customer. So we got to haul our garbage into town, and these totes are a little too heavy to be lifting up into the truck. So I'm going to make a lifting implement to put on the front of the tractor. Now, you might think we should lift it from here, but these are just plastic, and these aren't made for lifting the whole weight of the tote. But where they are lifted from is this little bar down here, because that's where the garbage truck actually grabs it and dumps it into the back of the truck, because our trucks that we have around here, still you dump them in the back. Now the big claw trucks just go around this whole container and dump it in the side of the truck. So I have to make something that'll go low enough and hook that handle, and also have like a stabilizing foot down below to where the can's not going to move around a lot. Now we have our receiver hitch here on the top of our tractor bucket. However, it sits too tall if we were to come straight out and put a hook on it to grab that garbage can. So we're going to have to tilt the bucket forward, and what that also does, it allows for the bottom of the bucket to be vertical with this end here, because if that sticks out, that'll hit the can. Now our can is about 16 inches to that little cross member that you pick it up from. And then I think here, it looks to be almost 2 feet. That's about 20 inches. So we're going to have to come down at least 4 inches. So what we'll do is the tube that we use to put in here, we'll make it a little bit longer. And that'll allow a good sight picture too from the seat of the tractor, where we can actually see what we're hooking, and then we'll fabricate it from there. So we got these couple pieces of 2-inch scrap square tubing. I think we'll use the full length on this one for our arm, and then we'll put like a piece of angle iron here on the end to hook that rod, and then we'll go down from here at an angle. Let me see if I can get this to stand up so I can kind of let you know what we're going to do. So we'll bring that one down at an angle like that, and then we'll put a little crossbar foot down here on the bottom to hold that can, push against the bottom of the can, and also keep it from turning. Okay, we stuck our tube in the receiver hitch here. The bottom of it's right around 14 inches, so that's going to work. So let's get it to the shop. We've got to drill a hole in it to accept the pin that goes in there. We'll start putting her together. Okay, got our hole drilled, got the tubing in place, got a level. I marked what was straight vertical on the end of that, so we know what angle to put that other piece of tube. So let's go back to the shop. I think we can finish this thing up without coming back to the tractor. Okay, we had this little piece of angle iron up in our scrap. That's why we never get rid of anything. We've cleaned everything up so we can weld it. So we're going to leave about 1.25 inch gap in here, because that pin on the garbage tote is only 1 inch. So that'll leave plenty of room for it to hook on there. So we'll just weld this on here real quick. All right, we've matched our angle that we marked on there. We've notched it out for our little angle iron. We're leaving enough room for our foot that we're going to put down here. It's just going to be this piece of tubing, and we want it in line with where the pin's going to be on there. So we'll get this welded on now, and then we'll weld our foot on, then we'll be ready to try it. Okay, we got it put together. This piece is just tacked on. I'm going to go out and check it real quick. Okay, it looks like it's going to work just fine. We'll get those beads on there, put it on the tractor, and give it a shot. All right, there's our little tool there. Let's go give it a try. Well, that worked pretty slick. Now the only thing I see I need to do is this receiver hitch I put on and made there. I'm going to need to wrap it over the back of the bucket so it doesn't tweak the top of that bucket so much. And then I'll put a couple bolts on the back side down on that other part of the bucket. Other than that, that was a real success. Now I don't have to hook up a trailer to haul the garbage. Okay, that was perfect. We're all loaded up. We're gonna go into coffee in the morning, and then after coffee we can dump our cans. I don't need to unload them with the tractor because they're really light. I can just pick them right up off the tailgate. So got a couple other things to do. Let's go. So while we got some good weather here, I'm gonna do some pruning out in the fruit orchard that needs to be done while the trees are still dormant. So before we get started here, I want to disinfect our tools with a little alcohol. The reason we do that is we don't want to get any diseases from one plant to another. And we'll do this in between every tree that we got to prune. I know it may sound ridiculous, but it's a little insurance. Here's our Fuji apple tree here on the end. What we want to do is come down about right here and take this center out of it, so all these secondary branches will grow and form a nice tree. We don't want a really tall tree. Now, same thing with our little pear tree here. Even though there's not much growth, we're going to take this one main branch here in the middle. That way the other branches will get more robust. There we go. We took off a sucker down here too because we already have some stuff going on. Looks much better. Same thing with this pear tree. We'll cut this center one up about that high. And we'll take all these suckers off down here. There we go. Much nicer tree now. Now this is our only peach that's left. All the others died, but half of this tree died last year, so we're going to leave this one alone and just see what it does. We'll give it a pruning next year. Now our wild choke cherry tree here on the end, we're just going to leave it alone. This cherry tree here still looks good from last year. Still got a good shape to it. This pluot here, we're going to leave it alone. I'm just going to trim the cover here so it fits better. This cherry here, we just knocked the top out of it a little bit so it doesn't get too tall, but we didn't do any of the lower limbs because cherries are so light. The tree can pretty much support a crazy load of cherries, unlike an apple or a peach or something like that. You can let this thing just bush like crazy. Now this apple next to it, this is a Honeycrisp apple. We're just going to take the top out of this too. We're going to bring it down to where you can see these larger limbs are topped off. We're going to bring everything down to there. Okay, we brought our tree down. We cleaned out the inside a little bit because you want sunlight to be able to get down into the inside. Now some people would see this branch here and go, why aren't you cutting that crazy thing off? But these branches that grow down like this, they're very strong branches and will hold a lot of weight. So I go ahead and leave those on there. That'll support a lot of apples right there, rather than a little spindly branch that'll lean over and die off. Now this apple here, we've been trying to turn back into a good tree because it was crazy broke and almost dead when we moved here. And you can see the nice secondaries we have growing down here. And remember, this limb up here broke last year, broke off. So we wanted to cut it off anyway eventually, but this is turning into a real nice little tree. We're just going to leave this thing alone. We're going to go out to the big trees out there now. We've got some pruning to do on that. Some of that's going to take a chainsaw though. This tree here was completely on the ground when we moved here, but it's a good producer of apples, so we didn't want to take it out. So we've just been kind of training it to go up. We've cut all the stuff that was down on the ground off. However, it's getting so long out here trying to get some sunlight out from underneath this tree here. They were kind of planted a little too close. But we need to cut some of this long stuff out so we don't have an issue like that limb on the far side over there that broke off this year because it had too much weight on it. Now this tree here, I want to cut off some of these lower branches that try to drag you off of the lawnmower when you go around here. It's going to give us some good wood, and we can use that wood in the barbecue. Apple wood, good wood to barbecue with. Oh, the carnage. Got pretty aggressive on this tree, but it needed it. Balance this tree out real nice. And then we trimmed this tree back quite a bit. We left quite a few branches on there to see what it's going to do. And we've got some sunlight on this thing now too, so that'll be nice. But just got to clean up all this wood now. Got that electric chainsaw has done fantastic. If you wonder how long the battery lasts, I have 2 batteries and I was able to cut all these limbs and limb them out into firewood and brush with those 2 batteries. So amazing, pretty cool. But we'll take care of all these limbs on another video. We got a surprise for you. You'll see when that hits. But it's getting close to supper time and I'm beat. So hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today. We've still got a lot of stuff to do, and we've got 4 or 5 good days to do it. So it's going to be nice. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at the farm.